Hi there. Today we're going to take a look at this Tandy 1000RL hard drive. This is a PC compatible system made by Radio Shack, and I don't know a whole lot about it. Matter of fact, I know that it's sitting here in that, well, that's about it. Although I did look up one thing, because it apparently uses PS2 keyboard ports, but they may not be PS2. I'm not sure. So we're going to look at that. We're going to find out if it works, and we're going to see what we can do with it today. Man, this thing is, oh, I so don't want to clean this. So this is the Tandy 1000RL hard drive. That is part of the model name shown on the badge there, hard drive, right up front. We have a 3.5-inch floppy drive right there, the power button on the front right there, and then I'm gonna guess the hard drive is behind there. Around back, we have serial port, the 2 Tandy joystick port, some 3.5mm audio jacks for headphones and mic, it looks like, along with a volume knob. That's kind of cool. And then underneath, we have a probably CGA, although it's Tandy graphics, so CGA, EGA-ish, DE9 video port, parallel printer, and then the confusing thing with keyboard and mouse ports that are PS2, looking at least. Unfortunately, this thing is dirty, and I don't know if it will ever be clean again because the surface has this texture on it, which both means the gook is going to be below the top surface level and is going to be incredibly difficult to scrape out. So yeah, this finish on here is awful. Now, the monitor that it came with is the venerable CM5. This is the later revision of this monitor, which is kind of unfortunate because there is a version of this that cosmetically matches the RL 1000 more here, but this is still pretty nice to have with this so that I can at least use Tandy graphics on a Tandy monitor with this thing. All right, now before we fire this up, let's go ahead and open it here. From the looks of it, I'm guessing we just need to take off some Phillips screws that are along the back, and I'm guessing either the front will slide forward or rotate and lift off. I'm curious to see how this works. Ah, it's weird, but all right. That is a weird motherboard. I don't know what I was expecting, but I don't think it was surface mount stuff. Huh. It took me a moment, but I finally found the CPU. It's one of the smallest chips in there. So we have a J-Lead AMD 8086 part right there. That is hilarious. It's so small. That's incredible. There are also a ton of Tandy branded and logoed parts here. I don't think I've ever seen that Tandy logo on a chip. This is most likely not the first computer to have that, but I've never seen one. That is really cool to see. Now for the hard drive, we have a Seagate ST325X, which appears to be IDE based on the single cable there, which is funny that this is an 8088 with an IDE hard drive. But, oh, well, gosh. Tandy and their evil power over floppy interface cables. The IBM PS2 computers that did power over ribbon at least had a non-standard connector. That is more excusable than this, which is identical to a standard 34-pin floppy connector. So no, I will never forgive any company for doing this. Okay. I was looking like, how can I take out this board? And then I saw how it's attached. They just have a piece of PCB going between 2 board edge connectors here that are mounted vertically. So they just plug this straight down on there to connect that. That's amazing. The only other thing to call out here before I go ahead and remove everything, especially so that we can look inside the power supply here, is that there is an expansion card slot right here where you plug the card in sideways. I don't know how easy that will actually be to use because, I mean, there is not a lot of clearance there and you do have to be able to slide it in. So that's an interesting design. But now I'm going to go ahead and start to remove everything so we can look over all of it. It is literally just copper strips. That's amazing. And they didn't even make it themselves. They bought this from some other company. Oh my gosh. And there we go. Everything out of the case so we can look over all of it. All right, now that we have everything out, let's start by looking at the power supply. So we have electrolytics here, but looking at the board underneath, I am not seeing any signs of leaking at all, which is really good. I'll take an opportunity here to point out that you can see something around the bottom of this cap, but that is the mounting glue for holding this on. That is not a leak from the capacitor. At least I don't think so. I don't know. That looks a little thin going over there. It's possible it could leak and have been glued into place, but we'll find out. I'm pretty sure for now that that's just glue. But it is possible it also leaked. You know what? After seeing that close up, I actually want to remove it and check it. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I thought for sure, like, oh, it's just glue. This is a great example to use to explain why every time you see the stuff around the bottom of a capacitor, it's not necessarily it having leaked, but then it's seemingly two different looking fluids down there. So that one might have actually leaked. I will point out, while I'm waiting for my desoldering iron to warm up, that this is the only line filter cap in here. So that's not a REFA, so it's not an immediate threat. I think some of these can have issues, so you might want to replace that, but I'm not going to bother for now. Before I even touch the iron to this, you can totally see that that is a cracked pad right there. Yeah, those solder joints are toast, so that glue did not help out that much there. Again, if it is glue, pretty sure it is, but I don't know. Signs are not looking great. All right, so when I replace this capacitor one way or another, the cracked solder joints are going to be fixed, but for now, we're just going to remove it and see what condition it's in. Oh, that's totally glue on there. I either pulled the pin out or finally, geez. Oh my gosh. That glue sucked. So the bottom of the cap doesn't look that bad, ignoring all the glue. But if we go back to the PCB, yeah, it definitely looks like there are two kinds of fluid around there, unless there's a really thin component to the glue that evaporates. So this is where the glue stops, but then you can also see that there is a wet something that saturated all the way around there. Maybe flux, possibly, but we're gonna find out with the one thing I own that's not GPIB. Does HP make an LCR meter in 1994? We're at 134 UF. It's a 150. That's okay. So that's probably fine. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely say this thing is okay. Especially at the lower frequencies, this thing looks good. All right, well, didn't need to remove that cap, but now I know. I wonder if that is flux. I mean, I don't see any evidence of flux on this board. It's not hand soldered. So I don't think that would be flux. I don't know what that is though. That is super weird. Okay. Now oh my gosh. Look at that. Beautiful exposed coil drive motor down underneath that hard drive. Oh man, that thing is pretty. All right, now the more pressing issue with the floppy drive here. Okay, so let's see if the mechanism is okay. Whoa, that's I would not call that okay. All right, let's take this apart and investigate what may need to be cleaned or lubricated on this. All right. So I think initially I might get a lot of benefit from just blowing this out. Let's try that first. So I might just have to find a couple of spots to drip oil onto to make this, or to do the most effective stuff here without being able to get excess. So I can see a spot here where this drags. So put that there. Let's redo that. All right. So put a little bit there where it drags, and that already seems to have helped. Not all the way. Okay. So let's try putting some on this. This is the hinge for that. Deep in here, I can see that it grinds against part of the drive there, or the tray part. So I'm going to put a little bit of oil on that. Okay, actually, I'm less convinced that that isn't just poorly designed, and the spring can't actually pull that back now. All right, now the next thing is, this is the same as the HP drive. The top slides down and in, and it does it through rails that move forward and guide this up and down. So I'm gonna add some lubrication on the little pegs that slide here, and we'll see how that works. That has a lot of force, man. I'm gonna try to get under this plate. Man, I wish this thing wasn't encased in this whole thing. At least the motor feels really good. Oh, well, that's probably it. I'm pretty sure to get this out, we need to remove that brass piece that you can see right there, and that is only accessible underneath of the PCB here. So we would have to remove this board so we could remove this board, so we could remove this brass thing so that we could then slide this out and pass. We're not doing that. All right, since I couldn't find my cleaning disc, let me grab a Q-tip and isopropanol, and we'll just manually scrub the heads. Right as I was wrapping this up to move on to the next thing, it was pointed out to me that this cap is probably leaked, and yeah, that's some corroded PCB traces there. Some leakage going off to that leg on whatever that thing is. So yeah, we're gonna need to remove that and assess the damage. That is a 10UF 16 volt SMD cap. I might have that. I'll have to look. But yeah, that might end this floppy drive for now. All right, after some digging around in my old parts drawer, I found some 10UF 16 volt SMD caps that I think are actually from repairing the Voodoo 5. So that is the correct value for this. It's also possible they're from when I worked on my IBM PS2, but I'm pretty sure they're from the Voodoo 5. So that's the same value that's right there that has gone bad. So we're gonna go ahead and try and swap that out right now before we call this done, and then hopefully this thing will work. Doesn't help this is so close to the motor. Boom. Lifted right off. So what I'm doing here is scraping off the solder mask so I can see the raw copper, and then I'm going to tin the copper with solder afterwards to make sure that it is clean and recovered. I'm going to look at any of the black spots and make sure I scrub that off. All right, now that I have most of that scraped off, I'm going to put a little flux on that pin because I am going to reflow the solder on that. And then I'm going to flux all of these because I'm going to coat all of that with solder to give it some protection. But then we should be pretty much good. I think that'll do. That cleanup took a while. It was really annoying. One more ISO scrub. Yeah, that is looking much, much better now. All right, now that that is looking a lot better, I'm going to put on the new capacitor. And the tweezers are going to make this difficult with the motor right there. All right, that'll do. Okay, we've checked over the power supply. Everything looked okay. Could have done more research on the caps, but none of them looked too bad. So I'm gonna call that good. Floppy drive has been cleaned and had the very leaky cap replaced and the damage from it cleaned up. So we're good there. Next, let's just really quick pass the motherboard, make sure that it's good. So there are 0 electrolytic capacitors on here, so that's fine. I do see some probably SMD tantalums, so that is a thing. But there's not a lot we can do other than check for shorts. So we can see the power connector here. You know, it'd be good to check that for cracked solder pins as well. All right, those all look fairly good. I think we're gonna call that okay. So I'm gonna pass this. I think it's good. The only thing that I would really, well, let's check for shorts on the power connection. So if I grab this cable, we can kind of get an idea what the power rails are. So this was connected here, not like that, like this. So let's check for shorts across the different colors. Okay, just to check, black to black is 0.2 ohms. That looks good. Okay, now black to red is 389 ohms. That's probably fine. Black to purple, 2.3 kilo ohms. That's really good. And black to white, 3.2 mega ohms. So yeah, that's super good. All right, so probably no shorts on the board, at least not yet. There's no super low resistance either, so that seems pretty good. So I'm gonna pass the motherboard for now, which means the hard drive is the only thing left. Now, we already looked at the hard drive, but I would like to image it. So let me figure out a solution for that really quick, because my main desktop I normally use for that right now is very much not set up. All right, we've gone over everything as best we can. I've kind of given up on imaging the hard drive because it's XTA, and apparently I don't have a way of reading that. So we're back to the chassis because we are ready to put everything back in here. But I think it would be nice to maybe clean it a little bit first. So let's do that. All right, I'm not going to town on it. I just don't want it to like kick out a bunch of dust when Well, I was going to say when the fans turn on, but I just realized there are 0 fans in this whole computer. Huh. I think we're ready to start adding all of the parts back in now. I love this thing. Okay. I need to plug in the speaker, and that's it. Before we put the lid on and fire it all up here, I've got the cable connected to the power supply, and we're going to probe this to make sure that everything looks good coming out of there before we go ahead and send power to anything else. So I believe this will be 5 volts when I put power to it, which let me go find a power cable for. All right, plugging in power and turning it on. Whew, didn't explode. Doesn't have output either, though. At least not that we're reading. Okay, let's try this. Should be easier to guarantee connection there. Huh. All right, after much poking and prodding and mistakes, I think I have it fixed here. So here is 5.9 volts DC there. We can probably also measure that. Right here, yep, 5.9. This should be 12 approximately. That's 7. That's not great, but yeah, there's that. And then I have no idea what this white rail is. -5 there. Okay, that's probably for the sound stuff. Why is 12 so low, though? That's a little weird. Let's try loading this and see if that gets any better. All right, so I am plugging in an old hard drive that doesn't work here to power. Okay. Provide power to the supply. Hard drive spun up. 12 volts is now 11.3. We're golden. All right, this is the final step here. We are screwing in the power supply. I'll pop in the front panel button, and then we're going to put power to it and see if it works. All right, here it is, power with the whole computer. And that sounds pretty good to me. Now we need to check the monitor. All right, we're not going to do a full deep investigation on this thing here. I just want to make sure it doesn't have any refa capacitors that are going to explode. There we go. Now, I believe this is just a CGA monitor, so this shouldn't be too complicated inside. But again, I just want to check the main power supply section. What? Man, why can't anything be easy with this thing? I think something might have gone a little bad there. It's wet all over, leaking from somewhere, I don't know where. And that bolt is like super rusty and there's like stuff all over. So let's take out the monitor's main board and look it over. All right, I took off this capacitor. I measured it. It was 215 microfarads with 0.07 ESR, so it's fine. Nothing else above that in the orientation it would have been in looks like a problem. I don't know what caused this corrosion. I've noticed some other corrosion over here related to the glue that's holding down the caps. I don't know. I'm going to shelve this for now and come back to it because this is a whole other big complicated problem to solve. And I still want to know if the computer itself works. So I'm going to grab another display solution, and we're going to try the computer with just that for now. All right, after bailing on the Tandy monitor, I got my 5153 here, which is a CGA monitor that should work with this thing, unless it's EGA or something. I don't remember exactly how the Tandy graphics work, but we'll try it with the 5153, and I'll just be ready to turn it off if it sends it any errant signals that it doesn't like. So I'm going to power up the computer here and give power to the monitor. The monitor was on. I guess that makes sense because I usually just use the pass-through power on the 5150. Okay, plugging the monitor in. All right, let's see how it goes. We have video. That's looking pretty good. I hear it booting off of the hard drive. Oh, never mind. It's seeking the floppy. Now it's the hard drive. There we go. Logitech mouse driver. Really quick menu. Okay. This is going to be interesting. All right. There we go. That's from the hard drive. So that's all working. Now I got to figure out peripherals though. So I'm going to turn it back off. Logitech mouse driver, huh? It's got a PS2 mouse port. Why would it not just be a PS2 mouse? I'm gonna plug that in. We'll see if that works. All right, so apparently this thing uses an XT keyboard interface, but a regular PS2 mouse interface. So we're gonna try that. Normally, you have XT PS2 adapters like this that, well, they're not actually XT. It's meant to be AT. But you'll have an AT PS2 keyboard that you'll use on an AT system like this. But what we need is this adapter. So this is a male mini DIN port and then a female big DIN port. This is the only one of these I have. And I bought it because it was sealed, but we're going to have to unseal it here so that we can try this thing out. All right, I've got a Model F here. We're gonna plug it into this. This feels wrong. And then I'm gonna plug this into the back of the computer. Maybe? Yeah, there we go. We'll see if that works. All right, here we go. I'll wait for the monitor. All right. Man, that hard drive is loud. Booting off of the hard drive. Mouse is not responding. Okay, so the Logitech mouse driver doesn't like the PS2 mouse. And keyboard works. Okay. So, oh, we have DeskMate. PS2 mouse works in DeskMate. There we go. Oh, okay, here we go. So we're in DeskMate in C, DM for DeskMate. We have a laser PS2 mouse working with this here. So here we have a file browser built into DeskMate. We can see, I think the hard drive is labeled MS-DOS 5, or it just recognizes that it's DOS 5. We can go into the mouse folder here, and we can see probably the Logitech mouse drivers. Let's go ahead and open the README file here. I don't know how we do that. Do we just press enter? Does the file browser not let us do anything? Is it just like you can list your files, have fun? Well, I'm a little disappointed that it doesn't have like the ability to open a text file directly. But I like how they got a computer with DeskMate and then they replaced it with a different stupid GUI-ish thing. All right. Try a dumb astrology program. That was kind of what I was thinking for funky CGA. All right. How does this even work? Is the mouse not working because it's not loading the Logitech driver? I only know horoscope because of Weird Al. So we'll go with daily error. First, load a user from disk or enter new user. Seriously. We'll just go with Marilyn Monroe, I guess. So sky map, how does this work? You're thinking, sure. Press any key to continue, huh? That was it. Oh, okay. All that and it's just boop, gone. All right. Oh my gosh. About authors. You know what? I don't even want to know. Okay. There's a maybe quit option. What is maybe quit? It just it's actually chance-based whether or not it quits. What? Well, there we have it. The Tandy 1000 RL hard drive. I will need to probably just dump the files off of the hard drive since I can't image the XTA hard drive, it seems. But it is working, has deskmate, has some questionable software. But yeah, it totally works. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I don't know what I'll do with this machine. I basically saved it from being scrapped. It was going to be trash if I hadn't picked it up. And I mean, after seeing the power supply, I understand why it was trash. And definitely the monitor, which will be another project. But it's back to life now, and I'm happy to have it. So if you enjoyed this video, you may want to subscribe to be notified when I go live again next. If you want to help support the channel, you can find me on Patreon. But that's it for now, and I will see you next time.